The Duino Elegies, 10th Elegy by Rainer Maria Rilke. Some day, emerging at last from the violent insight, let me sing out jubilation and praise to assenting angels. Let not even one of the clearly struck hammers of my heart fail to sound because of a slack, a doubtful, or a broken string. Let my joyfully streaming face make me more radiant. Let my hidden weeping arise and blossom. How dear you will be to me then, you nights of anguish. Why didn't I kneel more deeply to accept you, inconsolable sisters, and, surrendering, lose myself in your loosened hair? How we squander our hours of pain. How we gaze beyond them into the bitter duration to see if they have an end, though they are, really, our winter-enduring foliage, our dark evergreen, one season in our inner year. Not only a season in time, but our place and settlement, foundation and soil, and home. But how alien, alas, are the streets of the city of grief, where, in the false silence, formed of continual uproar, the figure cast from mold of emptiness stoutly swaggers. The gilded noise, the bursting memorial. Oh, how completely an angel would stamp out their market of solace, bounded by the church with its ready-made consolations, clean and disenchanted, and shut as a post office on Sunday. Farther out, though, the city's edges are curling with carnival. Swings of freedom, divers and jugglers of zeal, and the shooting galleries targets of prettified happiness which jump and kick back with a tinny sound when hit by some better marksman. From cheers to chants, he goes staggering on, as booths with all sorts of attractions are wooing, drumming, and bawling. For adults only, there is something special to see. How money multiplies, naked, right there, on stage. Money's genitals, nothing conceal, the whole action, educational, and guaranteed to increase your potency. Oh, but a little further, beyond the last of the billboards plastered with signs for deathless, that bitter beer which seems so sweet to its drinkers, as long as they chew fresh distractions in between sips. Just in back of the billboard, just behind, the view becomes real. Children are playing, and lovers are holding hands to the side, solemnly in the meager grass, and dogs are doing what is natural. The young man is drawn on, farther. Perhaps he is in love with a young lament. He comes out behind her, into the meadows. She says, "It's a long walk. We live way out there." Where? And the youth follows. He is touched by her manner, her shoulders, her neck. Perhaps she is of noble descent. But he leaves her, turns around, looks back, waves. What's the use? She is a lament. Only those who died young in their first condition of timeless equanimity, while they are being weaned, follow her lovingly. She waits for girls and befriends them, shows them gently what she is wearing, pearls of grief, and the fine-spun veils of patience. With young men, she walks in silence. But there, in the valley where they live, one of the elder laments answers the youth when he questions her. "Long ago," she says, "we laments were a powerful race. Our forefathers worked the mines up there in the mountain range. Sometimes, even among men, you can find a polished nugget of primal grief or a chunk of petrified rage from the slag of an ancient volcano. Yes, that came from up there. We used to be rich. And gently she guides him through the vast landscape of lament, shows him the pillars of the temples and the ruined walls of those castles from which, long ago, the princes of lament wisely ruled the land, shows him the tall trees of tears and the fields of blossoming grief. The living know it just as a mild green shrub, shows him the herds of sorrow grazing, and sometimes a startled bird, flying low through their upward gaze, far away traces the image of its solitary cry. In the twilight, she leads him out to the graves of the elders, who gave warning to the race of laments, the sibyls and the prophets. But as night approaches, they move more softly, and soon the sepulchre rises up like a moon, watching over everything, brother to the one on the Nile, the lofty Sphinx, the taciturn chamber's countenance. And they look in wonder at the regal head that has silently lifted the human face to the scale of stars, forever. Still dizzy from recent death, his sight cannot grasp it. But her gaze frightens an owl from behind the rim of the crown, and the bird, with slow downstrokes, brushes along the cheek, the one with the fuller curve, and faintly, in the dead youth's new sense of hearing, as upon a double unfolded page, it sketches the indescribable outline. And higher, the stars, the new stars of the land of grief. Slowly, the lament names them. Look there, the rider, the staff, and the larger constellation called garland of fruit. Then farther up toward the pole, cradle, path, the burning book, puppet, window. But there, in the southern sky, pure as the lines on the palm of a blessed hand, the clear, sparkling M that stands for mothers. But the dead youth must go on by himself, and silently the elder lament takes him as far as the ravine, where shimmering in the moonlight is the fountainhead of joy. With reverence she names it and says, among men is a mighty stream. They stand at the foot of the mountain range, and she embraces him, weeping. Alone, he climbs on, up the mountains of primal grief, and not once do his steps echo from the soundless path. But if the endlessly dead awakened a symbol in us, perhaps they would point to the catkins hanging from the bare branches of the hazel trees, or would evoke the raindrops that fall onto the dark earth in springtime. And we, who have always thought of happiness as rising, would feel the emotion that almost overwhelms us whenever a happy thing falls.